Gurnee. O'Brien.
Present.
Balmas.
Present.
Thorstensen.
Here.
Woodside.
Present.
Ross. 5 present, 1 absent.
You all stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, this is our first meeting with a public comment at the beginning, and we have no public. Well, kind of. I guess we'll call Lynn and Amber and Julie so you can be. Do you want to make a public comment before you get up and start speaking? No? I guess the trustees are technically the public too. Floor is closed. On to the next item. Discussion items, Village of Gurnee Chamber of Commerce presentation. Who's going first? All of you? Yes? This is...
build traction, get more members, and just to tell people what's going on with the chamber.
And then eventually we'll add to it, and we want to target like sponsorship and just, like if we're partnering with, another chamber, we can, play this, and so they can kind of see where we're at and how we can work together. And I think we'll continually, change it up to get it to where it will fit a number of different, uses.
Yes. And Julius is going to step up now, and he's going to explain a little bit of how we are going to use this tool.
Okay, so actually if we could just give me a little preliminary to how many members are there in the chamber currently?
So there are currently 189. We started at 132. So in the last year, we've grown about 50, a little bit over 50%.
And what's the membership fee to be a part of the...
$250. Nonprofit is $125.
And that continues at the village when it sends out the business license, that it still solicits people can
Yes.
be a part of the chamber through that, right?
Yes.
Right. And maybe just give, before you launch into that, could you just describe generally the Chamber of Commerce's involvement, like some of the things that the chamber does, the mixers, things like that?
So we do a lot of mixers. We're doing 1 a month currently. Sometimes there were 2 in the last year because we are getting very popular with those. We also have, we're a part of Gurnee Days now in the parade. We also do, and the bingo with the Park District, the holiday lights. So we're just doing a lot more events, community events, to get a little bit more exposure and to really join forces with the Village of Gurnee and the Park District.
We do the bonfires and brews. We worked with the Exchange Club. I've been kind of trying to get somebody from Rotary maybe to work with us. We have like a mixer that we're partnering with Waukegan in the fall. Kenosha's interested in working with us. Highwood was interested. Grace Lake. A lot of different chambers want to do an event together. Yes. And I think that's because we are out there and we're doing something a little bit different than they are.
So then as far as if a business wanted to join, what would you give as a short list or an elevator speech for a business? Why would they want to join the chamber?
What I would tell them is the very first, most important thing is that when someone, once you become a member, the SEO, the search results comes up immediately. Somehow the chamber gets like the government SEO, and we don't have to do anything. It just keeps updating, keeps all of our members right at the top. So just that alone is worth the $250. And I think that I hear this all the time. There's not enough networking, and we really have. I mean, when you go to a mixer and then you go to the next mixer, you're not going to see all the same people. It really, it's really a lot of different people. And a lot of that comes from like targeting and sending emails out, looking through all the business cards that we've received and say, oh yeah, this would be good for them. Another thing that we have done is with CLC, we did it at CLC at the it was a multi-chamber, so there was like 15 chambers there. And that was really interesting because if you were part of our chamber, then you signed on our sheet. And then we saw that there were people on a number of different chambers, but it's interesting, they ask a lot of questions about what we're doing. Maybe that's everyone, but it didn't seem that way. And so, because I think words. The other thing that you have your own kind of little portal page on the website, and it's like a mini website. You can put your specials, videos, photos, all your information, everything in it, and there's a link that goes directly out to your site. People that don't want to do a website, here it is. Something,
That's like a
you know,
landing page for them.
Right.
With
So
that governmental
Yes.
domain that pushes them closer to the top of
people are
Google.
very interested in that. People have asked if we do more educational pieces, and we definitely want to do a roundtable. And you know, from the past, I guess the breakfasts and some of the luncheons haven't been attended well, but that doesn't mean we can't try that and try to do something. And then the library is interested in doing a business book club with us. So we're gonna. So I tell, even if it hasn't happened yet, I say, this is what we're working on. And so they see we're working on so many different things. They're like, wow, this is really active. And one example, there's a guy that owns Bed and Box, and he's not a member. He's a member of the Henry because he has a store in Henry. And he said, I have seen you, and now I know you, and I don't know anyone on the board or the executive director, anyone. You've done so much for me just by helping me find the right people and getting open. And, you know, I feel like I didn't do that much. You know, I just tried to be there for him. And so I think that, you know, goes a long way with people.
Our hands-on approach it definitely helps.
So the board members currently are who?
So we have a list of them in our presentation here.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't want to steal that. Sorry, Julie, sorry to delay you from coming up, so.
Oh, yeah, we can put you. Okay, so it's me as the chairperson. Then we have Nicole Kyatt as the vice chair, Jordan Spriegel as treasurer, Janelle Rominski as acting secretary, Lynn Grandstrom as executive director. Then we have as board members Richard Disterhef, I might be saying that wrong, John
Craniac.
Rainey, okay. Mark Levine, Nick Phillips, Terry Waddle Mentor, okay. And then Garrett Conshin,
Conkin.
and then Jeannie Balmus. And then we also have Ellen Dean and Matt Turhilo.
Elo.
I murdered
He
all
was
those
for
last.
G-Lo for a while.
So did you want to come on? Yep.
Hello, everyone. I'm Julius Faust. So I'm kind of going to explain what you're going to hear a little bit and how it was done. So we created kind of a dynamic podcast that is just talking about the achievements of the chambers, some of the struggles, and it's an actual podcast that's created with AI. It doesn't sound like it, so initially, unless we told you that, you probably wouldn't know it. But the way that it's created is by us basically giving it the data sources that we wanted to kind of go with. We found that when we added the website and a bunch of other things, it kind of veered off of the messaging that we wanted. So we kind of had to create documentation based off of what we want them to talk about and kind of converge that message. The way that we're going to utilize this in the future is, number one, people are very lazy. They don't like to read. So if it's not a video or an audio, they might pass it up. With this tool, we're going to be able to curate different parts of content for sponsorships and just send them, you know, a quick email with an audio for the benefits of what a sponsor gets if they sign up for a membership. We're also going to utilize this with a spotlight thing that we're going to be doing with each business, and we're going to be writing blogs about them and then putting that out there on our website and through social media. And then at the same time, we're going to be able to do the same kind of blog that you're going to hear now, or the podcast that you're going to hear now, with that same blog that is only going to talk about that specific business, the chamber, and the village, and how it's all working together. So it's kind of a new idea, it's kind of a new thing, but it's only going to get better, and it's going to give us a way to reach into places that we probably wouldn't have reached before. So it's a presentation for you guys to listen to, and all the information is pretty factual because it's all based off of data that they provided that is from the chamber over the past couple years. So, and I think
Thanks.
you have to turn the mics off or we'll get feedback. Thank you.
So we've been digging into something really interesting happening in Gurnee. Their business community, it feels like it's really, getting a boost, a real shot in the arm.
Yeah, definitely seeing a positive shift.
Yeah.
We got access to some internal Gurnee Chamber of Commerce documents.
Right. Their strategic plans, community reports, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And the story unfolding in those pages is, well, quite a turnaround.
A significant one.
Yeah.
So that's what we're diving into today, the drivers behind this revitalization in Gurnee.
And it's interesting, not just for Gurnee, right? It might hold some clues for other communities looking to spark similar growth.
Totally. And right off the bat, you mentioned a stat that really grabbed us.
The membership number.
Yeah, nearly doubling in just 1 year.
It's pretty stark.
Yeah,
Signals something major's working.
definitely. Okay, so let's set the stage. What were things like, say, 3 years ago before this started?
Well, the sources paint a picture of a challenging period. Membership had dipped. It was around 120 businesses.
Yeah.
COVID obviously played a role, as it did everywhere.
Sure, that makes sense.
But there was also this feeling of like disconnection among the members. The value wasn't maybe as clear. Events weren't very consistent. The chamber wasn't as visible in the community.
Right.
And even their, internal systems, the way they operated, were a bit outdated.
So kind of needing a refresh, a real boost. What was the trigger, the catalyst for change?
The documents really point to one key decision: hiring a dedicated executive director.
Ah, okay. Full-time leadership.
Exactly. And they highlight that the Village of Gurnee support was crucial in making that happen.
Bringing in dedicated staff often changes the game.
It seems it did here. It brought that needed leadership, organization, and frankly, accountability, and let them start tackling those issues head on.
So that dedicated role was the linchpin, and you see the impact directly in those membership numbers. Remind us again.
Yeah, so they went from around 130 businesses,
Okay, so up a bit from the 120 low point.
right, up from the low point to nearly 190
Wow, in 1 year.
in just 1 year.
Yeah.
And that kind of jump, it tells you businesses are seeing real progress, real value.
It's not just numbers, it's perception shifting. Businesses feeling it's worth joining again, or for the first time.
Precisely. It suggests that maybe that isolation felt during the pandemic created a real hunger for community, and the chamber started delivering.
Okay, so how did they deliver? What specific things did they change or add to make membership more valuable?
Well, a big one was the website. They did
Easier to use.
much more user-friendly, but also added features. Members can now easily post job openings,
Oh, that's useful.
share their own events, even offer member-to-member deals right there on the site.
Like discounts just for other chamber members.
Exactly. Plus, they streamlined the practical stuff like paying dues or registering for events. You can do it all online remotely now.
Sounds like basic stuff, but honestly, that convenience makes a huge difference for busy owners.
It really does. And then there's the visibility piece. They started something called Spotlight Business.
Spotlight business, what's that involve?
Each month, they pick one member business and do a full write-up on them.
Like a feature article?
Yeah, a proper feature on the website, and then they push it out hard on social media too.
That's great exposure for a small business, a really tangible benefit.
Definitely. It gives individual businesses a nice boost.
Okay, so better online tools, more visibility. What about face-to-face stuff? Events, networking.
They ramp that up too.
Yeah,
Their regular networking mixers. Seeing much better attendance.
more people showing up.
Yeah, more buzz, more energy. Right now, they're actually free to attend.
Oh, interesting. Lowering the barrier to entry.
Seems to be working. They mentioned maybe adding some paid sort of premium events later on, but the free mixers are drawing people in.
Smart. Build the habit first. And it wasn't just their events, right? I remember reading about a collaboration.
Yes. The Bingo at Gurnee days.
Right. Tell us about that.
That was a partnership with the Gurnee Park District.
Okay.
And apparently it was a huge hit. Great turnout, really positive vibe.
So working with other community groups paid off.
Absolutely. It's a perfect example of that synergy. When local organizations team up effectively, it wasn't just agreeing to do it. It sounds like they really coordinated well.
Yeah, understanding each other's strengths and audiences.
Exactly.
And that highlights the importance of those local partnerships. You mentioned the Park District, and the village was involved too.
Definitely. The chamber makes a point of crediting their strong relationships with both the village and the Park District.
So it's a consistent theme.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Another example they gave was the Gurnee Days Parade.
What happened there?
They organized for chamber members, especially small businesses, to participate together under the chamber banner.
Ah, so giving them a collective presence in a big community event.
Right. It shows how those partnerships translate into real opportunities for businesses to connect with the community. It seems vital for them.
Okay, so lots of external improvements, better events, strong partnerships. What about internally? Did the chamber itself restructure?
Yes, that was another big piece. The board of directors created 5 specific committees.
5 committees. What do they cover?
Each one is led by a board member and has a clear focus. There's one for membership and engagement.
Okay, recruitment, retention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Onboarding new members, keeping current ones happy, then events and programming.
Makes sense. Organizing the mixers, the bingo maybe?
Right. Planning the calendar, getting board members involved. Third is economic development and advocacy.
So talking to the village, representing business interests.
Precisely. Advocating on policy, things like permits, whatever helps businesses thrive. Fourth is marketing and communications.
Getting the word out, social media, success stories.
You got it. Building awareness, celebrating members, and finally, finance and fundraising.
The money side, sponsorships, budgets.
Yep. Ensuring they have the resources they need. Long-term sustainability.
That sounds much more organized, a focused structure.
It does. It means specific people are responsible for driving progress in each key area. It's not just theoretical. These committees are actively shaping strategy and getting things done.
Right, it gives clear direction. And speaking of direction, they've set some big goals for the future, haven't they?
Oh yeah. Pretty ambitious targets for the next 2 years.
What are the main ones?
3 key goals stand out. First, always providing real, clear value for members. That's number 1.
Foundational. Makes sense.
Second, increasing the number of annual sponsors.
For that stable income stream you mentioned.
Right. Get that reliable funding locked in.
Yeah.
And the third goal is a big one.
Let me guess. Double membership.
You got it. Double their membership.
Oh. Given they're at nearly 190 now, that means aiming for, what, close to 400?
Something like that. And they note there are over 1,200 businesses in Gurnee, so they see the potential pool there.
Still ambitious, but you can see the logic after the recent growth spurt. They feel they have momentum.
Definitely. And a tool they kept mentioning as being important for delivering value and potentially reaching those goals is this thing called Growth Zone.
Growth Zone. Okay, what exactly is that? Some kind of software?
Yeah, it's basically a chamber management software platform. Think of it as the digital hub for everything.
Okay, integrates different functions.
Exactly. Member data, communications, website features, event registration, payments, it ties it all together.
So how does it benefit the members specifically?
Several ways. Members get their own portal, like a dashboard.
Self-service.
Right. They can log in, update their own business profile, post those jobs or events we talked about, access members-only content.
Puts them in control. Nice.
Yeah. Event registration is apparently seamless through it, mobile-friendly too. Online payments for dues, sponsorships, all secure.
Convenience again?
But maybe the biggest impact is on visibility.
How so?
Well, Growth Zone powers their online business directory. It's customizable, members can share their own promotions.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. It integrates with Google Search.
Ooh, okay. Explain that. How does that work?
Basically, the member listings in that chamber directory get indexed by Google.
So if I search for, say, plumbers in Gurnee,
A chamber member plumber's profile could show up right there in the search results.
without them having to do extra SEO work themselves.
Exactly. It's like built-in online visibility just by being an active chamber member using the platform. That's a huge value add.
Yeah, that's a really concrete benefit, especially today. Free marketing, essentially.
Pretty much. It connects chamber membership directly to potential customer leads.
Very smart. Okay, so to power all this, the platform, the events, the future growth you mentioned, they're looking for sponsors.
That's right. They're actively recruiting annual corporate sponsors.
Not just one-off event sponsors, but year-round partners.
Correct. They're framing it as needing sustained support to keep the momentum going and deliver these high-value programs.
And they see it as a partnership, not just a transaction.
That's the language they use.
Yeah.
A partnership in shaping Gurney's business landscape, boosting the local economy.
Makes sense. And what's in it for the sponsors, besides the goodwill?
Year-round visibility across everything the Chamber does.
Like,
Digital promotion website, social media features, recognition at all the events, mentions in communications, basically consistent brand exposure to the local business community and beyond.
so visibility, but also positioning themselves as community leaders.
Exactly. Investing in local growth, supporting small businesses, that's the angle. A chance to make a lasting impact.
Seems like a solid pitch for the right kind of company.
Mm-hmm.
Now, finally, it was interesting that the chamber materials specifically thanked certain people and groups.
Yeah, they made a point of expressing gratitude.
Who got the shout outs?
They thanked their board of directors, naturally, also the mayor of Gurnee and their partners at the village.
Reinforcing that collaborative spirit again.
Absolutely. They stress it's a collective effort.
Yeah.
And they specifically named their executive team members, Amber Apricito,
Deprcia. Okay.
Nicole Kayat,
Kaya.
Jordan Spriegel,
Spriegel.
Janelle Raminsky,
Olominski.
and their executive director, Lynn Grandstrom.
Randstrom. Got it.
Yeah, they even included pronunciation guides, which just shows they wanted to get the recognition right. And they thanked all their board members for the dedication.
Nice touch. It highlights the people driving the change. Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. What are the main takeaways from this deep dive into the Gurnee Chamber?
Well, I think it's clear we've seen a really significant and pretty rapid transformation.
Driven by?
Focused leadership, definitely. Strategic planning, putting those committees in place, smart use of technology like Growth Zone, and crucially, building those strong community partnerships.
And the results are tangible, that big jump in membership, the enhanced value they're offering.
Exactly. It shows what's possible when an organization like this gets focused and re-energized.
And those future goals, especially doubling membership, show they aren't resting on their laurels. They're aiming high.
They really are. Which brings us to maybe a final thought for you, listening.
Yeah.
Reflecting on Gurnee's story.
Which then raises maybe a final thought-provoking question for you to mull over. Given the Chamber's really ambitious goal-doubling membership in 2 years, what further innovative strategies might they explore? How do they connect with all those other businesses in Gurnee and amplify their impact even more?
Yeah, what's the next play? It's an interesting question to keep in mind as their story continues.
So do you have any questions?
Am I right? Anybody have, Trustee O'Brien?
Just kudos and a compliment. I know when I was in school and I saw the AV card come out with a film strip on top of it, it was going to be a good meeting. Seriously though, AI, that's AI?
Yes.
Yep.
Unbelievable. So,
It's amazing.
what a really cool presentation.
Trustee Thorson?
I love the, what did you say, the SEO bump? That's pretty cool. And I like that you can attach this as snippets to people because, you know, sometimes they just really need that tangible. I know in my work, we look for providing them with little video snippets, but these auditory snippets are great so they could hear and kind of more put themselves in that position. So this is great.
It's kind of like when someone reads it to you or says it to you out loud, it gives it a lot more, it's more valid, you know.
It's auditory books with good voices. Great job.
Thank you.
You good? To my left? Trustee Woodside, Trustee Balmas? No?
Great job. I mean, I'm impressed with the presentation. My brother-in-law is a voiceover artist, and he's probably trembling with that, because that's, that's impressive.
Yep, I testified to the SEO bump. I saw that for myself, so thank you very much. Being part of the Chamber's an honor. Really enjoy the getting together. The every month mixers have been a game changer. I think that's gives a great opportunity for everybody to shop their wares. So thanks for your hard work. You've made a difference. I just have noticed it, you know, in the village itself. And Ellen and I were troubling over this over the years, so we trouble no more. Is that true? That's true? Yeah, we don't trouble anymore. So thanks for your efforts.
And I just want to say, we couldn't do it without you.
Yes.
You know, there's the financial part, and then there's just the stability, and then I have everyone I can ask questions of, advice. It's amazing.
The support is incredible.
Right, all of the, business questions I have, I can ask anyone, and I love that. And as Ellen knows, and Matt knows, and the mayor knows, and Quinn, I do a lot of that. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right, so is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Baumus, second by trustee O'Brien. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And whoops, I forgot the public comment at the end. Any public comment? None? Forgot it. I'll get used to it.